Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod here to talk about the challenge All Stars 4, Episode 11, titled Live Free or Die Starred. Before I dive in, this episode was a bloodbath, so I recommend using my link to get Paramount Plus for free, watch this episode and the rest of the season. If you like my content, consider liking and subscribing, but let's dive into it. The episode starts with Leroy filling in as bossy producer.
Steve, try not breathing, your belly's sticking out.
Following Jay's departure, they remind us that Steve jumped from really high up in the elimination and add a crunching sound effect to his knees, so those knees are effed up. Adam is still pissed at Steve for stealing his star and wants revenge. In the morning, Super Freaks Nicole and Laurel roleplay being strangers who meet at a cafe, and Avery has no idea how Laurel's not stressed out because all of the starless players are stressed. They get to their daily challenge where TJ and all of the stars await them. TJ right away tells the 6 star holders, Kara, Veronica, Nicole, Steve, Leroy, and Ace, that they've officially made the final and get the day off. TJ tells the other 6 that he has 2 more stars to give out to the top man and top woman in this daily challenge titled Starborn, where they need to race on foot to get a raft, paddle out in the water to get keys, get to land and unlock a trough full of basically crap and find a star. The first man and woman to find their star make it along to the final. Right before they get started, Flora decides to bow out of the game, saying she's too injured to run in this challenge and that she's already exceeded her expectations of herself. So we say goodbye to Flora here, who was probably the most unknown deep cutty player on this cast. But as the season went on, we got to see a really strong personality, an outspoken, funny person who inspired me to go back and rewatch her original season of Real World Miami to see what she's all about, and she really was such a legendary reality TV person back in the day. Now I see why her return was kind of cool, but as far as the competition went, she was pretty much a non-factor that was being kept around partly because she seemed well liked, but also because she was a perfect person to drag to the end. She really had no chance of winning a star here, and I don't think we'll ever see her again on the challenge, but it was fun while it lasted. The other players get started with the challenge before Flora even walks away. The star holders are drinking and spectating. Derek and Laurel get to an early lead, and they all start paddling out on their rafts, which looks cool. Laurel is in first place overall, and Avery and Ryan are struggling to paddle as an absolute club banger, thanks for the memories, scores the players starting to touch back on land. In the end, Derek and Laurel win their stars, with Derek saying he did it for his sister Brianna, and Laurel really being vindicated by purposefully calling bullshit on the entire production in the last few episodes about the stars. And we say goodbye to 3 more players, starting with Avery, who was a pleasure to have in class this season and performed really well in challenges, but overall didn't really do much to great effect in the game, being a pushover on multiple occasions, not going in to get a star when she had a chance, and ultimately just being in a position to be boxed out in the end. I do like her and wouldn't mind seeing her again on the main show. I think the Avery-Adam relationship is an interesting factor that we never got to see play out on screen, so that could make some real drama in the future. We also say goodbye to Ryan, who, similar to Avery, was a bit of a pushover in the game, having a huge opportunity to go into elimination last week where he probably wins against Jay and chickens out last minute, resulting in his own demise. Seems like he was enjoying being there for however long the show would have him, and his story of the season is that of his friendships, most notably with Derek, and his sobriety journey, with the other players seeming to agree that the house was a good place for him to be for that reason, and that was a big motivator to keep him around. I feel like this season's performance is probably what we can expect from him should he ever come back, as he's a pretty consistent player. And to Adam, who's another challenge deep cut, though I originally felt like he was on more seasons than he actually was. In his time, I feel like he was being primed to be a bigger figure than he ended up being. On the return, he was strong in challenges. I actually was getting the idea that Adam was going to win the whole show, but ultimately he ends up being screwed over by life, having his star stolen in the last opportunity, which truly does suck, but it was kind of his own fault for hurting his friend of 20 plus years, Steve's feelings. We got to see a really bitchy side of Adam, with him royally roasting Steve at the end of last episode, and I really feel like that's unresolved. Another matter that feels unresolved is that Adam came into the season in a long-term relationship, and he and Avery were definitely catching feelings here. When he got home, he ended that relationship and started dating Avery, which I find to be a little bit juicy and probably warrants a return from both of them at some point. Back at the house, the finalists are met with champagne and letters, with Ace and Veronica saying they haven't made it to finals in nearly 20 years, and Derek making his first final ever. The next day, TJ surprises them at the house to tell them to change quickly because he's kidnapping them in an RV. They journey out to the mountains in a fun homage to the movie Vacation, complete with a theme song, and arrive at a shipyard, where TJ tells them being an all-star will require strategy and intellect, and that by the next day, they'll be down to 4 players. They'll start off with a checkpoint to win an advantage called Shooting Star. They'll be strapped to a roof of a car with a paintball gun, and whoever can shoot the most targets wins an advantage in the next elimination challenge. Leroy's up first, and we really get to see how crazy this driver is going. They even precisely skid around a potted plant, which is really cool. This was an awesome challenge, one of the greatest we've seen in a long time, and everyone did really good and looked cool strapped to the car. Kara is the only person they point out really missed a lot of targets, with Kara pointing out for the third or fourth time this episode that victory for her will be beating Laurel at something. In the end, the top two are Laurel and Leroy, which kind of makes Kara look a bit clowned by the edit. The winner of the advantage is Leroy, and they move on to their elimination challenge, Electric Star. They need to move a metal ring around an electric star course. If their ring hits, they'll get shocked. Whoever has the slowest time will be eliminated, and Leroy gets to start with his a quarter done already. They play out the challenge in a different room where the other players can't see them. Leroy's up first, and he eats this, not getting shocked the whole time, and then screaming in pain to psych the other players out. Nicole gets shocked a few times, actually screaming in pain, but also rushing through the challenge, leading to her getting shocked more and more. When Nicole comes back to the room, she fake cries to Laurel in an attempt to psych Laurel out and emotionally manipulate her. What a shock. A few players like Ace and Veronica blow through the challenge without caring about being shocked, which seems to be the best strategy to stay safe. They don't even show Derek's run, but it looks like he struggled, and Laurel seemed to go slow, so the episode ends with TJ saying Derek and Laurel were in the bottom two, and the slower time is eliminated, but it's a cliffhanger, and honestly, I think it can go either way. On one hand, Laurel was psyched out by the other players, going really slow and avoiding getting shocked. On the other hand, Derek was the only person that we didn't get to see finish the challenge, which makes me feel like maybe he got shocked and dropped his stick and is disqualified or something. So weigh in the comments. Between Derek and Laurel, who do you think did worse in this challenge and will be eliminated next? Also, with next episode being the final, who do you think will win and who do you want to win? Personally, I think Kara might have this sewn up, but I think the most satisfying ending would be Leroy winning, right? So that's all I have to say about this episode. If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'll be back next week to talk about the finale. I also have some Challenge All-Stars art dropping next week, which I seem to never have time for, but I found some time. Until next time, have a nice weekend. Bye!